Hey Al, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite topic, Daniel Jones. It's been a while since I've talked or posted up anything as of late. Sorry, I've been busy, unfortunately. But I'm just going to talk about something that's been irking me for a little bit, actually. And it's the now, whether it's true or not that it was released by his camp or a former agent about him wanting $45 million a year. Again, the guy is not worth $45 million. I don't know how this comes out to be. $45 million a year is not Daniel Jones. He's not a tier one quarterback. Everyone would ask us like, so who would you replace him with? Honestly, I don't know because in this situation, he's not worth this kind of money. You don't want to lock him long term. There's no way he's going to be do really well long term. Um, I saw it from the beginning when he was first drafted to the point of like now. Just because he has one playoff win doesn't mean anything. And like you say, oh well, they got into the playoffs because of him. Not entirely true. Let's not forget, it was basically Dable that basically coached him into it. He knew everyone's weaknesses and strengths and played on those strengths. Honestly, it's more of a case where it was mostly Saquon, to be quite honest, more than anything else. I mean, the fact that Saquon was healthy, they got him in there. No Saquon, Daniel Jones gets sacked like who knows how many times, and he has more interceptions as a result. We saw it 2 years ago and 3 years ago, for that matter. Um, so I'm going to say this: does Daniel Jones deserve $30 million a year, which is what they're going to do with the franchise tag if they lay the franchise tag on him? Honestly, again, I don't think so either. That's he's an expensive quarterback for a backup QB, and everyone's going to say he's not a back. Well, again, this is a guy. He reminds me exactly like what Nick Foles is. Foles basically came in and led the Eagles to, well, he didn't lead them, but like he got them to the Super Bowl and helped them win the Super Bowl. But when you saw that he signed a long-term contract, where's he at now? Nowhere, because that's what he is. He's only a backup QB. It's the same thing with Daniel Jones. He's nothing more than a backup QB. He is not your QB1. People are going to say, well, people are going to throw stats at me. I'm like, you know what? Honestly, you could throw stats at me, but look at the tangibles. Granted, the guy can run, but he doesn't have the game smarts to know how to play. It's more of a case if he has a good QB coach and good coach, yeah, he'll do well. But in reality, this is a guy that doesn't know how to call plays himself. He's not like a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, where like if they see something, he'll change the play. They'll change the play right immediately, and like either get some yardage or at least not lose down as a result. This is a guy that needs direction, and that's it. It's not something that where he can be groomed off at, unfortunately. Um, and if he has no running back, honestly, he doesn't do well. Now, granted, yeah, the offensive line they got a little bit better, but yeah, granted, I'll give the fact that the offensive line kind of wasn't so great for him, and any QB that was right there would not do really well. But let's not forget, in 2011, the Giants' offensive line wasn't so great either. But at least Eli was able to do something that, produce something as a result. And to be honest, that 2011 49ers team was really dominant. They should have won that game. Honestly, it's the fact that, Eli was able to keep the game in his hands to the point where like they were able to win as a result was impressive and enough in and of itself. Um, so my whole thing is that this situation is this. I should throw some stats up, but in reality, I'm not a. I should get some data in there and put it up in the background image and all that stuff. Um, but it's more of a case where I think honestly, if the Giants let honestly put the franchise tag on Daniel Jones, let some teams sign him. Um, or more anything else, I don't think they should sign him, but or not even put a franchise tag. Actually, I don't think they should put a franchise tag. The only reason I'm saying putting a franchise tag is if some team wants to take him, granted, take him. Let us get the draft pick. Um, but honestly, they shouldn't sign him. If anything, sign him for a backup QB role, or if anything else, or let him go wherever. It doesn't matter. Um, Hell, let Bill Belichick take him. Let Bill Belichick take him. I have a feeling when Belichick sees him, he's not going to use him. He's probably going to just be seeing him as more of a backup QB more than anything else. If I'm the Giants, if I have the shot, I would try to go for Jimmy Garoppolo, honestly, if you can. Don't trade for him for any draft picks. Maybe if somehow, some way you give up Daniel Jones to him or something like that. I don't know. But Garoppolo is definitely far better than Jones, at least in this situation, and we've seen it. But if and again, I'm not shown, of course, and like I'm not going to say I'm a good GM, but honestly, it's more of a case of if I had the choice, let Daniel Jones go. If anything, try to sign Carr for maybe 1 to 2 years, no more than that, like at least 2 years, because you're going to have to get off the draft at that point and find your quarterback in the draft. It's a matter of like you have to build up your scouting team and making sure you could find that diamond in the rough, basically a Tom Brady late in the drafts or Joe Montana. And it's possible. It's definitely possible. Let's not forget. Look at Kurt Warner. I mean, like you saw how good he was. I even when the Giants signed him for that 1 year before letting Peyton before drafting Eli, they signed Kurt Warner to sort of groom Eli, but Kurt Warner was actually doing really well with that team. And it was more of a case like the Giants felt, like it's time to bring in Eli. We can't do Kurt Warner because he's only here for 1 year. Why even keep him? And look what Kurt Warner did with the Arizona Cardinals for the next 2 years when he signed with them. So it's more of a case like it's a matter of like their scouts and their scouting development team basically finding that right quarterback first shown to draft or sign for that matter. But like I said, maybe Carr is the person basically you sign for 1 to 2 years. If not, then yeah, maybe look in the draft and like trying to find someone. Honestly, I don't know. But like I said, I don't think Daniel Jones is worth $30 million. $20 million is a tricky. It's a fine. That's a fine number to determine. Honestly, for me personally, like I said, the fact that Daniel Jones is more of a backup QB than a QB1, he's worth more than $10 million at most. So honestly, if you give him $10 million, he says, you know what, I'm not taking this. I'm leaving. Put the franchise tag. Let some sucker sign him, get the draft pick, and use that draft pick for for better players at that point. Honestly, we need draft capital. I know we have some draft cap, a lot of draft capital. I think we need a lot more to the point for the next 2 years, because I don't think we're going to sign Saquon Barkley. Even if we sign Saquon Barkley, if we re-signed Saquon, then I say get Derek Carr. But the problem is you have no wide receivers. They just let Galladay go, which made sense. I mean, Galladay, as good as he is, he only had 6 receptions or something like that. So honestly, I think it was a good deal for them to actually let him go at that point. It gives us at least another 6.7 in cap space. Granted, we'll take the hit for the rest of his other remaining contracts, but you know what? I'm willing to take that risk at that point. Maybe bring back OBJ. I don't know. Like, actually, you know what? Derek Carr with an OBJ in place, and you have Saquon. It's a possibility that they get back into the playoffs again, too. Honestly, you could see that Derek Carr is decent enough. He's not great. He's decent enough that he can help you get there. The question is how much you sign Derek Carr for. Honestly, again, I don't think Derek Carr is worth more than $20 million either. So if I had a choice between Derek Carr and Daniel Jones, and go with the cheaper of the two, basically. I would say go with the cheaper of the two. Where it's under $20 million. If it's more than $20 million, forget them both. Let's just forget the season. Trade off Saquon, or let Saquon go. Slap the franchise tag on Saquon so that you can get someone, some draft picks in return, and, draft some, serious running backs in return for it. Honestly, Saquon's going to be is going to be highly valued running back. He'll definitely change the dynamics of a team. Chances are, I mean, honestly, look what McCaffrey did for the 49ers. Granted, he couldn't do it that much in the playoffs against the Philadelphia Eagles. If Saquon were to go to, I don't know, the Eagles or the Dolphins, actually, if he went to the Dolphins, that would be a game changer in and of itself, basically. I think the Dolphins become the favorites in the East at that point, honestly, over the Bills. I hate to say it. But in any case, like I said, this is a case where I think the Giants need to either let Daniel Jones go or to sign him, but not sign him for no more than $15 million. It's got to be under $20 million. The guy's not worth $20 million. If you're willing to pay a backup QB $20 million, you might as well just pay for backup running backs and backup offensive linemen and all that stuff at that point. I think in this case, honestly, the Giants if they could focus on more on the defensive end and become the number one defense, I think everything else will play into it at that point. Honestly, let them build the defense. That's why I'm thinking maybe I hate to say it, but maybe it's another sort of rebuilding year. Let them rebuild on the giant on the defense, the front core, the defense, the linemen, the edge rushers, cornerbacks you have almost in the ways. The secondary you've got to kind of work off a little bit off of, and the offensive line you get those in place. I think everything else comes into play at that point, honestly. And everyone's gonna say, "Well, hold on, that's not going to be entirely true." Well, history shows, statistics shows, you have a really good defense and a decent enough offense, you should be able to get in. Now, you could say, okay, wait, let's look at the 49ers. Look what happened to them last year against the Eagles. They had the number one defense. Yes, they had a great offensive line, but not a good offensive line. Yes, the only problem was they had no quarterback. Without any quarterback that could actually throw or had any experience, it was going to be hard for them. Honestly, like with Trey Lance, Garoppolo, or for that matter, Purdy, if Purdy was still there, it might have been a much closer game, to be quite honest with you. But the fact that the Eagles knew what to do at that point, because you have a quarterback, QB that's truly inexperienced, hasn't played anything, hadn't even taken a snap, they knew full well to go after him at that point. So it was a case where in this situation, that happened to be an edge case, an outlier essentially. Honestly, you could bring it up to a point of like, let's say actually, you do need a decent enough quarterback, a good game manager. Honestly, you do need a game manager at least at that point. That's one of the things you need to go. If you can get someone with a good, sort of decent enough wide receivers, then you could you should be able to get into the playoffs for sure at that point. But yeah, I mean, having high explosive offense with weak defense won't get you much unless you're unless you can replicate what the 2000 Rams did. It's going to be very hard to do. But like I said, that's my take. Let me know your thoughts. I'll read all the comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Do you think the Giants should resign Daniel Jones for $30 million or more? Do you think Daniel Jones is a QB1? Yes, people might say, oh, I'm hating on Daniel Jones. Of course I'm hating on Daniel Jones because honestly, he should not have been that first draft pick, basically. Honestly, I think that was a mistake when they drafted him in that situation. Honestly, because the fact is like they wasted that draft pick on Daniel Jones. Honestly, like you had the number 6 pick and you wasted on Daniel Jones. Honestly, outside of the fact that they couldn't get Kyle Murray, they could have probably traded up to the 49ers and gotten a Nick Bosa. Or to the honest opinion, they could have gotten Josh Allen, the linebacker for the Jaguars. Look what he's doing right now. He's doing really well. It's more of a case where they wasted that draft pick on Daniel Jones. They could have gotten someone better, or maybe even or Dexter Lawrence for that matter from Clemson. I mean, honestly, actually they picked up Dexter Lawrence. Sorry about that. Not Dexter Lawrence. Oh, Craig. I can't remember the guy's name. God damn it. Was it DeAndre Baker or something like that? I can't remember. Honestly, like I said, they could have traded that draft pick or something like that. I mean, granted, that year, that QB draft pick, that QB, the draft in that year of 2019 wasn't such a great year, basically for QBs. I mean, in 2020, if the Giants were in a point, honestly, if the Giants didn't draft Daniel Jones that year, the following year, the fact that where they played off at, and they're number 4, they probably would have been able to have taken a Tua or Justin Herbert. To be honest, Justin Herbert would have been great. It would have fallen into their laps. It would have been perfect for them, and they would have Josh Allen as a linebacker, and that would have been great. And honestly, we probably wouldn't be having this situation now or this talk about QBs. That's why I'm a little angry about it. So honestly, that's why I'm hating on Daniel Jones, because the fact is we wasted a high draft pick on a guy that hasn't produced what he should have been doing. And granted, yeah, drafts are a gamble. It's a roulette type of wheel, basically type of thing. It's they either make it or they don't, or they might make it halfway. Honestly, it's showing what Daniel Jones is. That was a wasted high draft pick. He wasn't even on anyone's radar until maybe the second or third round. Like I said, he was more of a backup QB than a QB1. If they didn't draft Jones the following year, I have a feeling if they knew that they needed a QB, they would have drafted Justin Herbert right then and there. We would be in place at this point. But like I said, it's one of those things where it happens. So I don't think so. But like I said, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think the Giants should re-sign Daniel Jones for a long-term contract for more than $30 million a year? Do you think he's a QB1 and such? Like I said, leave your comments. I'll read them. I will respond to them. And please subscribe. The more subscribers, the better, of course. And with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed. Until next time.